Once again, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to race number 2 of the Straight Line Motorsports Mazda MX5 Cup Championship here live at Suzuka. I am your host and commentator once again for the day, STM_RRDZ, and we are preparing ourselves for a reverse grid of race number 1 for race number 2. So, the finishing podium finishers of Elliott Fageter, who took race 1 win, extending his championship lead with his second win in 3 races. And then we have Hair Raiser, who made it onto the podium for the second time this season, and he will take home, and he took home a nice points haul. And then, of course, third place went to SLM Polymer, who takes his second podium of the season as well, to get him a nice points gain as well in the championship. But now we have race 2 underway in this weekend, and that will be reverse grid. So Bar 27 and James Head will occupy the front row, Doug Barrow and SLM Palmer on the third row, and then Hair Raiser and Elliott Fageter will round off the grid. And unfortunately, TGIS 78, of course, he had a tough race, and some sort of problem might have got him out of the day. And we are green flag racing here at, and I have to do this again because I don't know what the problem is with that, but Bar 27 now leading the grid for race number 2 here. It is looking like it's 3x3 from this camera view, but it looks different, of course, as James Head and Doug Barrow go side by side, and these the two guys are looking for their spot on the podium, of course, but they have the podium finishers right behind, and James Head gets a wonderful start, but Bar 27 is going to carry the momentum into the S's right there, and it is just super close, and Hair Raiser has already demoted 1 position at the hands of Elliott Fageter, who moves up into 5th, so he is going to be looking for some spots to gain back up into this race. And Palmer and Doug Barrow once again going at it from race number 1. They've clearly got some unfinished business to take care of. And it looks like they're both going side by side. Elliott Fageter is going to tuck in right behind. And if things are considered, they almost go 3 wide. Elliott Fageter now moves up into 4th, demoting back down Palmer, and that is a very courageous move on the outside of Degner 1, and that's a move you don't see every day. Oh, and James had almost made the same mistake from race 1, going into the tire wall out of the exit of that corner. And Bar 27 taking a very wider line, and he's going to give Doug Barrow the lead, and James Head potentially into 2nd place. So what I think Bar 27 is doing is that if he takes a wider line, it'll give him a better momentum push, but it's given these guys up front a bigger advantage for the race lead. And once again, now this time, we actually have a train of cars, which is pretty nice. Oh, and Bar 27 goes wide again, and he's actually gone off at the AstroTurf. Can he keep it on the track? Yes, he does, but all of a sudden, the race 2 pole sitter is now down into 6th once again, so that's unfortunate for him. Doug Barrow now this time getting back up into the lead. And it looks like this time, Hair Raiser might be the one in the other Costa Mazda having to fend off from SLM Polymer. And Elliott Fageter now already into the podium positions in 3rd place after only just a single lap of racing. So, a very good day for him, obviously. Message now. TGIS has to be work, so that's unfortunate for him to not take part in this race. At least he took part at least he took some points for today, but it's going to be another tough day for him nonetheless. So now James Head now, after his pretty costly incident in race 1, he'll be looking for some moves. We will continue to monitor the battles to be had. Bar now not that far behind, but we will continue to monitor the progress of all of these drivers as well. And this time it is Doug Barrow up in the top spot, so we will once again with these battles. So Elliott Fageter now still in third. Once again, still trying to make up some lost ground. And Palmer now just can't seem to get away from these Costa Mazdas, who are just absolutely putting the pressure on these guys. And just cannot seem to get away from anybody that has a Costa logo on the side of their cars. And Doug Barrow looked like he didn't have a good exit, and James Head is literally right behind him. With Doug Barrow now found on the inside, he will do so. And James Head's got to take a wider line. Elliott Fageter almost hitting the rear of the 7 Mazda, getting a lot of time. And he's have to quickly shuffle into that order so Elliott doesn't overtake him. He does that move. Oh, and James Head was looking to the inside of this corner, but he's got a left-hander the next time by, so that's not going to be good for James Head, obviously, to put himself right over there. Unless he had the very, very big momentum push right about there. And you can see the contact right there from the number 7. And Elliott Fageter just on a massive charge right here. A sweep of the weekend, of course, will give him an immaculate amount of points in this race lead. Oh, and here's something interesting. The top 3 now, all within going towards the inside of 130R. James Head has got the momentum push. Can he briefly grab the lead into 130R? He goes wide, but I think he's going to push on the outside. Oh, look at this now. They're all so close going into the chicane. And James Head, can he force it into? He does so, do it in the lead. I just wasn't speaking it quickly enough to get it out of my mouth in time. So, and Elliott is not playing around. He is literally on the back bumper, and he's going to move left. So Elliott Fageter on the side of him, just separated by half a car length, going into the first corner. James Head's going to move wide, but Doug Barrow's going to have to compromise that line. Oh, and it looks like Doug Barrow, can he force it? He does force Elliott wide, so that's a good driving tactic right there. Good defense right there. And once again, Palmer just can't seem to have the luck of getting away from one of the Costa Mazdas. Either it's Doug Barrow or it's Mazda. Oh, and Doug Barrow has slipped down into third. And Elliott Fageter has moved up into second, so a move into the S's was made. Once again, my capturing skills of trying to see these incidents or these moves happen just isn't on par today, unfortunately. But of course, we do know the positions have changed, and James Head now is the man up front. He can give Elliott a tough time if he does so please. Now half a second now between Elliott and James Head. Cracking my fingers. It's all good there. Palmer now in fourth. He's trying to find the time back up to make up to the top 2, or the top 3, I should say. Can Elliott make a dive down to the inside? He's not afraid to make these moves a lunge. He's not afraid to make a lunge. Just like, no, not right there. This time it's going to be James Head who's going to be defending the pressure, obviously. He doesn't have to worry about what's in front of him and what's behind him at the same time. He only just has to worry about what's behind him for the most part. And Elliott has to do the same thing what James Head did in race 1. Worry about what's in front of him and what's behind him. So it's a lot to juggle around, but it's going to be very, very interesting nonetheless. James Head taking a wider line to the inside of the chicane. Elliott Fageter going a little bit on the outside. Can he make a force? Switchback is not forcible, obviously, in this scenario. Oh, look at this little move from Doug Barrow. He got the momentum push off of Elliott, and he's bumped him down to third. And Doug Barrow bumps it back up into second. Can he make it a twofer, obviously, for the race lead? The gap's coming down now. Elliott really has nowhere to go but just to hang on. He goes to the outside, We'll continue to monitor this battle for the race lead. Oh, on the outside into turn number 1. That is amazing. Oh, and James Head gets it all wrong. And there's contact made. And James Head doing a small little error, but with very, very big consequences. And Elliot Fageter back in race lead mode now. So now, Elliot now putting the pressure, showing the expertise, and once again is leading this motor race. But Doug Barrow is far from over, and he's going to try and get the lead back of this race. Can he force an issue out of Elliott going into the exit of the S's and going towards Degner's 1 and Degner 2? And while these guys are holding each other up, it's given the chance for Palmer and Hairraiser to try and slip back into this battle for the race lead. And James Head is going to have to quickly start looking backward because these guys are starting to fall into the favor of these guys in 4th and 5th. James Head taking a wider line out of the hairpin. And I think that's just gifted Palmer and Hairraiser the solution that they will most certainly need to get this 5-car battle reignited once again from race number 1. Doug Barrow close on the back bumper of Elliott. Is he going to try and make a move stick into Spoon? There's nothing doing there, so it's kind of a move by suicide, but he doesn't really want to do that. Palmer getting it sideways out of Spoon, so that's something you don't see in this race. But Elliot Fageter has been basically the man to beat this whole race, this whole weekend. And it's just repeating that with about less than 20 minutes to go. Doug Barrow looks like he has a nose behind the number 64. James Head now looking to make a move stick maybe. Oh, he flashes some lights out of frustration. He's cut this line. But James Head, can he make a move stick? He got the car very sideways breaking into the chicane, but he gets it going. A little love tap right there from Doug Barrow to Elliot Fageter. And the gap now 2/10. James Head now just still right behind this battle, not letting an inch go between himself and the race leaders. Elliott now on the inside, Doug Barrow on the outside. Oh, and Doug Barrow did make a move that he made a move that he didn't think James Head was gonna try and find himself passing him, and James Head has passed Doug Barrow for second, so James Head now on a recovery drive is going to have to worry about Elliot Fageter trying to get past him. And once again, James Head is going to have to do the hard work of looking behind him and in front of him. So these guys putting a lot of pressure on. We will continue to monitor this battle. And Palmer now, with a 1.4 second penalty now. So unfortunately, he will have to serve that penalty as the race goes on, but we will continue to monitor this battle, and it will still be far from over with about 18 minutes on the clock. you're seeing the footage, the battles are far from over. It looked like James was able to force a mistake out of Elliott a couple laps ago out of Degner 2, but Elliott Fageter has just withstood the pressure and was able to force his way back up in the front. And as you're seeing right now, there is a whopping 4-car battle right now, but Hairraiser's slipping back a little bit. If you can get back up there, it would be a whopping 5-car battle for the lead of this race. And all of these have major championship implications. 25 points for the man in first, 18 for the man in, I want to say, second, 15 for the guy in third. And obviously, as you go down the order, points will run back into this championship. James had having to withstand a lot of pressure between the 13 and 24 Mazdas of Doug Barrow and Palmer. Once again, it's just another train of cars from locomotive to caboose. And I say caboose because Hairraiser has the red car, and of course cabooses are red here if you are from the States. Elliott, Fageter, still going away. But still withstanding a lot of pressure for the guys back behind them. Fageter is not an easy man to pass by the driving style that you have all been seeing today. Just look at all of that. 5 cars within one shot. How close do you guys like it? Oh, and it looks like James said Elliott's gone a little slow somewhere, and he's actually lost a bit of momentum, so he's actually dropping back a substantial amount. And Elliott Fageter all of a sudden has been losing positions left and right. And James Head is now all of a sudden moved up into first and Doug Barrow into second. I'm not sure what happened with Elliott's car. Oh, and he's getting it very sideways. He might be overdoing himself. He was doing all right. Now all of a sudden, he's just over-forcing the car past its limits. Like I said, I did not see what happened to Elliott on that incident, but now all of a sudden, he's going to have a lot of work to do with about just over 10.5 minutes to go. Oh, look at this interesting development. James Hunt has made another costly mistake out of the race lead into turn number 1. And now, going from first all the way down to 5th. Once again, that is major championship implications right about there. And he's now fallen to 3 seconds off of the lead. So putting, once again, another foot wrong in this race. Oh my goodness gracious me. And now Elliott Fageter and Doug Barrow have moved up into first and second, and Palmer and Hairraiser into third and fourth. So once again, we thought all the action was done, but nope. Stuff like that happens when drivers put a foot wrong. James had almost put a foot wrong once again into the time area. Elliott's going to force a move. No, not this time. But Doug Barrow forces an issue of himself. He checks out the field, and Elliott Fageter gets bumped down a little bit, and that's going to give Palmer a chance at a run for first. On board with the hood cam, you can see how super close it is between the top 3 in the Straight Line Motorsports Mazda MX5 Cup, and going to spoon the slipstream, not helping out the man up in front. Elliott Fageter moves over, and then you get Doug Barrow to look down to the inside of his left rear corner panel to force a mistake. But Palmer this time getting the momentum push. If Doug Barrow can give the slipstream, that can allow Palmer to pass Elliott Fageter for second, and it looks like it has. Palmer now has moved up into second place, so once again, if Palmer can turn the tides and leave, and if he can get past Doug Barrow for the race lead and get this race win, that'll balance the playing field once again from Gran's Hatch. Palmer now on the outside. Elliott is going to wait out this one. Palmer now, can he keep the inside? Ooh, and Doug Barrow last second closes that door for Palmer to make a move. And now Elliott Fageter once again on the back bumper. It looked like Doug Barrow slowed him down a fair significant amount. And obviously, this is not going to be a far battle for podium. Still far from over within the Mazda Straight Line Motorsports Mazda MX5 Cup Championship. Right here, Ken Palmer make a move to defend that line. He does so very well against Elliott, and Doug Barrow is going to give the draft to Palmer, which is a very crucial moment here, as these cars are heavily reliant on the slipstream within this race. So, Hair-Raiser is going to probably think about making a move on the outside of 130 yard. And now Elliott is all, at the same time of attacking Palmer, has to defend from Hair-Raiser. And now Doug Barrow is going to move on the inside. Oh, an impressive dive down to the inside of the chicane. And Doug Barrow is now in the lead. Or, no, I apologize. Doug Barrow was leading. And Palmer was not able to make a move on the outside work. Doug Barrow was just later on the brakes than Palmer. And this train of cars still far from over. And James Head has done an incredible job to make up the lost time with about 5 minutes and 10 seconds to go. The gap when he had that off was about 3 seconds-ish. He's now got it down to 1.3. So that's a very strong drive right there for this driver. Doug Barrow now looking for his first win of the season, as well as Palmer. So they will all be looking for their first wins of the season. And oh, amazing defense move by Elliott Wagner to take one on Hair-Raiser to keep that third place podium position alive to take home some serious points. Hair-Raiser in fourth, and James Head in fifth, James Head is now right on the back bumper of Hair-Raiser, and he's looking to make up some work to try and get some lost time. Oh, and Palmer's gotten a little forced wide, and Elliott Wagner, that might have been assisted, but these guys are not giving each other any room. Hair-Raiser's thinking about a move maybe, but look at these guys. Oh, that was a bit of lag spike right there. I apologize for that. It looks closer than I imagined, but nothing doing there. Elliott Wagner's got the preferred line into Spoon. He does so against Palmer, and that is a change of position with about 3 1/4-ish minutes to go. And James Head all of a sudden is right back in the mix of this. So, once again, with that locomotive formation, there it is right there. Locomotive took a boost. Elliott Wagner now is going to try and make a move on the outside of 130R. Can he swing the momentum on the outside? He's on the inside before the chicane, so a move might be made here, but Palmer is going to think about a move. Oh, and he makes the dive down the inside, and Elliott Wagner, with just under 3 minutes to go, has made the move stick. And all of these guys will get this lap and one more based on timing, but they cannot have another incident, or otherwise it will be game over unless you have an incident. And James Head has made 2 incidents so far. He definitely does not want to make an incident at this time of the race. Bar 27 will get 1 more lap only, but he's way too far back to make any lost ground. Elliott Wagner, who has withstood a lot of pressure, has made the moves and has done very, very well to get back in the lead. And if he can maintain this lead in the race, he will sweep the weekend and take home a very, very comfortable bag of points going to next round, which will be at Fuji next time by. So Bar 27 now coming across the start finish line for his final lap. The white flag will wave for all of these guys. But these battles are still far from over. Look at this right now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 cars all within a train. This is absolutely amazing stuff for all of these guys who are looking at a very close but very, very competitive time. Oh, and that's a lag spike right there. So if you were wondering what cars could look like in the future when in terms of cornering and whatnot, there is your sneak peek. Elliott Wagner now going to the outside. Podium again occupied by at least 2 or 3 people from race 1. Elliott Wagner and SLM Palmer, who have been on the podium in race 1, are looking to add to their points today in race number 2. Will sit home in 3rd. He will get his first podium of the season if he can keep that 3rd place. Looks like the lag spikes have definitely picked up here in this race. I do apologize for that, but yeah, let me turn off my Wi-Fi right there just to try and get an accurate representation of this race. It looks like the lag might be really hitting hard here. Let me see if there is a way to take it off. With these guys coming around the final corner for one last. Oh, that's actually a DC. All right, well, let me get back in real quick to see if we can get. Yeah, let me get back in real quick to see if I can get. Oh, shoot. Oh, that. Oh, no. Oh, okay. All right. We do get some breathing room at least. To monitor the last bit of this race. And Palmer in the background is at an incident somewhere, so that's not good for him. He will lose out significantly, and James Head's going to try and make the move for the podium, possibly at the expense of the 2 Costa Mazdas, and Elliott Wagner still doing a good job trying. So, Bar 27, he looks like he has parked it up, and that will be day done for him, unfortunately. But Elliott Wagner will continue onward. So, 31 minutes have lap. So these guys are on their final lap of this race. And James Head now going into fourth. Can he try and slip his way onto the podium? Possibly, after having two major incidents in this race. The final step on the podium will most likely be decided. Elliott Fageter's probably too far ahead to make any real mistakes, and he will look to extend his championship lead even further. Of course, James Head back down to that one. So, little unexpected there. Can we see the front race winning results here as Elliott Fageter? Come home for race win number 3 of the season, and he will sweep the weekend here at Suzuka. What an impressive showing right there. Hair Raiser gets back on the podium once again for the second time this weekend, and Doug Barrow, with an impressive showing, will get third today and his first podium. All our podium invites sent out. We do wait for these guys. So now, I do apologize for the late DC, but we were fortunate enough to be able to watch the race finish. So, of course, my internet home here at my parents' house isn't the best, but we do have better internet at the home, so hopefully the connections will not be a problem for next week onwards. But taking home win 3 out of 4 within the season is Elliott Fageter, and then we do have our first of 3 podium representatives here. Once again, Hair Raiser, another strong second place here today. How would you describe that race once again in a pretty unchanged race, for exception of the battles, of course?
Yeah, a bit more battling again, but to get second again, I'm really happy with that. I'm really pleased with that. Elliott's done really well as well to come first again in another good battle for Elliott.
Yeah, this time it wasn't just you and Elliott. It was basically you. It was basically Doug Barrow, James Head, and Polymer getting involved as well. So it definitely was. It was a wake-up call from race 1 after, the incidents that they had in race 1. They rebounded, they regrouped, and they were able to put on another strong fight here for you and Elliott, who once again just first and second in the race. So another comfortable points take home for you in the '69 Mazda. So. How would you describe your race once again, Hair Raiser, after all the battles that went on?
Very well, thank you. Trying to get through the pack, and the pack were very tough to get around this time, and they were all together, and they all did very well indeed. Even my teammate did awfully well.
Yeah, your teammate did very well. His first podium of the season in the Straight Line Motorsports Mazda MX5 Cup Championship, but we do have our race 1 and race 2 winners sweeping the weekend here at Suzuka. We have Elliott Fageter in the duo race winning 64 Mazda MX5. Elliott, describe us your race weekend here for us.
Coming into the race, coming into the weekend, no practice, none whatsoever. Actually came back from holiday about 3 hours ago. It's been a good one, actually. This is this has been one of the highlights for sure. Hair Raiser, great battling with you. Not
Thanks,
sure what
Elliott, you
happened
too.
no worries. Not sure what happened on that second race towards the end there. A lot of argy-bargy going on with a few of the drivers. Turn 1 as well. I think that's going to be an investigation because it looked like contact. But for me, pretty clean race. In fact, in that last race, I did scare myself a little bit because the handbrake actually got jammed on. Coming up the hill to 130R, the handbrake actually jammed on, so that's why I dropped back a couple of places and then fought my way back through. The problem is with everybody here, and it's a great problem that we have, is that it's like a moving chicane. Now, it will take you a lap to get onto them, a lap to pass them, and then you can't get rid of them. It's just amazing racing that we have here, and yeah, I love it, love it.
Yeah, it was definitely a tough weekend for both you and Hairraiser, especially in race one where you were both fighting each other. But it definitely got a lot tougher when basically the whole rest of the field basically stepped up
Yeah.
and was just putting a lot of pressure on you guys, and especially at the hands of Hairraiser too, who did a very good job as well. But Ellie Faggot with once again, you take home a very sizable chunk of points here, at least 50 points or more. Everything does remain provisional at this rate, but tell us. Tell us the strategy behind the race, considering you had no practice, obviously.
I was going into it thinking I got a practice lap and I was fourth. Coming into it thinking I'll probably just chase these guys around, just use the slipstream and finish where I finished. But do you know what? Hairraiser kept me pushing. I don't know if you noticed, but it was me and him were trading lap times. I'd get the fastest lap, and then him in the slipstream would get it straight away afterwards by a tenth. And it just kept me going, kept me going, kept me going. And with me, if I've got a challenge there, if I've got someone behind me, I will go faster. It's really weird. It's like the opposite of slipstream. If I've got someone in front of me, yeah, naturally the car will go quicker because of aerodynamics. But with me, the pressure of a car behind just urges me on, urges. And I don't know if you notice this as well, the racecraft, it's all about positioning the car as well in this championship. Coming down into 130R, if you've got a car coming to your inside, close in on them without contact, force them to have that inside line, and then come out back to the outside just as you make the corner. You've got the line, they haven't, they've had to back off slightly because of the curbing, and then you have the inside for the final chicane. So it's all about strategy on where you place the car around here, knowing when to ease off the throttle coming through the S section, minimal mistakes. Yeah, made a couple of mistakes there. As I said, handbrake jammed on, went wide a couple of times. It's just about consistency on keeping it on the track.
There we go. There's the invite. Sorry about that.
Yeah, and also one final question for Elliot. You seem to be playing a lot of defense here today. Was that something you had in mind for today's race, or was that something you kind of just kind of made late race as it started off, and then just eventually just worked your way into your favor, obviously?
I didn't think I'd have to put up much of a defence here, actually. I thought, as I said, with lack of practice, just thought, so I'm just going to be trundling along, slipstreaming these guys, finish top five. It's a shame that we were very low on numbers, but that's due to issues that have happened since the previous races. So we're down on numbers, so if anybody does know of anyone that does want to join, it's one make, setups off, balance performance on, it's all equal. Great racing. But coming into this one, I didn't expect to be defending in this one, but I did expect to be defending at a lot of circuits in this championship, because that slipstream is quite potent actually in these cars. It is set to real, it's not set to high, it is set to real, but the slipstream in here is so potent that you'll get a pass on someone, but they'll get you back at the next corner because they've just towed you down the straight. So I wasn't expecting to put up much of a defence here, but I'm glad I have, and yeah, it was great racing.
Yeah, it sounds like a great day. Of course, you did sweep the weekend. 3 wins in 4 races, obviously, so that's another sizable points lead for you as well. And we turn our attention now to the man on third place, his first podium of the season, Doug Barrow. A very great drive for you, making it both Costa Mazdas in on the podium. How would you describe your race this time around, obviously?
It was alright. It was okay. I mean, I was a bit gutted when I got into the lead. I made a mistake on the second half of Spoon and put it down into first gear. God knows why. Lost first place. Otherwise, I think I could have defended the last 6 or so minutes. I think it was left at that point. But yeah, I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's because I'm on a pad and Elliot's on a wheel and all that. I don't know if it's a pad issue. I really struggle up hills in these cars. Uphill, I just go slow. So, you know, it's a good battle. It was a scary moment where I braked a bit late. James tried to go in between me and Razor. I thought I managed to outbrake him into the hairpin, and and that whole third. Otherwise, that third place would have been James's. But other than that, you know, it was a good, tough race. I don't think, as Elliot said, he didn't get any practice. I don't think any of us have practiced on these because a lot of us are pro. A lot of the boys, all the boys bar one, were pro racers in this session. Practicing in our GT3s for next weekend. So this is just, it's come along. It's just a bit of a. It's not so much a social, but we're not chucking in the sort of like the practice time that we'd be chucking in our GT3. So I think we're all in the same boat of practice, if you see what I mean.
Yeah, it sounds like it was a pretty good tough day for you, obviously, especially with the uphills, and like as Elliot said, the slipstream is quite powerful in these cars, and as well as defense is going to be a key factor in the series. So one more question for Doug Barrow, obviously, before we do cut it here. So you did look like you were fighting off with Palmer for a fair bit, and then that kind of just expanded to all of you guys fighting for the race lead. Did you expect to see yourself on the podium after today's race, Doug Barrow?
I hope to. I mean, I expected to see myself on the podium in the first race, to be honest, and I just slightly outbraked myself into the lot. I picked up managed to clear it, but slightly outbraked myself into the very last chicane, and Palmer got me through whilst my car was ghosting. If it had come out of ghost when the penalty had gone, I'd have probably been able to hold the position. So it was gutted on race one to get fourth. But it's better than not being here, you know what I mean? I did it for the fun of it and for good racing, and that's what we had.
Well, with everything considered, of course, it was another promising weekend here at Suzuka within the Straight Line Motorsports Mazda MX5 Cup Championship. Continuing the same trend from last weekend of the GT3 Championship, which I completely did not expect. But next weekend, we return to the GT3 ranks, and we will take on Fuji Internet Motor Speedway in, of course, homegrown Japan. And we will once again see you guys for those races where we cover Pro-Am and Pro Leagues. And of course, I have been your host and commentator for today, SDM_RDZ, joining you with the podium finishers for race 2, Ellie Faggoter, Hair Razor, and Doug Barrow, and we will see you guys next time.